If I had a problem, I'd be starving. I'd be hawking this watch. I do not have a problem. I enjoy gambling.
You son of a bitch. You better clean them fixes up right now.
I am never cleaning up your fixes again.
Yeah, well, not quite. Yeah, let's stick to football.
We are back, baby! Am I live?
Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm pumped. You guys are doing a hell of a job here at the Round Robin Pod.
I am really excited about this. So we'll do this every Friday. We'll do a handicapping pod. Me and you go through the games and we'll rank in order our favorite games, and we'll go back and forth and have the conversations and handicap the games. Like, this was why I wanted to start this in the first place, is you and I have these conversations every day, basically, anyway, on the phone. And I think, like, you know, we've made lots of money betting sports over the course of our lives. We've been winning sports bettors for a long time. And so we have these conversations every day, like handicap Sunday's games. What is your best bet for week 3?
Las Vegas Raiders -5 at home against Panthers. I think we saw the line move from 7 to 5 on the news of Andy Dalton getting the start. And that's when I hit it. I just hit the 5. I think I personally didn't think there was a big difference. Bryce Young being more mobile against the Raiders pass rush would be beneficial for Carolina. And having Andy Dalton just standing there in the pocket, I think he's in big trouble against this Raiders pass rush. But he will definitely throw for more yards. He'll just take more sacks. I think so. In the contest, we have -5. I bet it at -5, and that's my best bet for the contest. And I think it's 6 and 6.5 places now.
Yeah, FanDuel has Raiders -6.5, -102. So this is interesting because I hadn't looked at lines yet today. I was gonna have a really strong disagreement for you on this game. I think Andy Dalton is such a huge upgrade over Bryce Young, and so I went and did a bunch of stuff on this. Like, I went and pulled up his stat. Like, he's been like a legitimately like an average quarterback for like the last 3 seasons. He had 14 starts in New Orleans, and he covered a bunch of spreads. They went 6-8, and I think he went 8-6 against the spread. And I just thought this would be a really classic Raiders letdown spot coming off of, I mean, dude, that's literally the biggest win that they've had as a franchise in like over 10 years. Like, that is the biggest win that they've had.
I mean, they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City last year. That was on Christmas Day. That was this team is different. I just have to stop
that team was not making the playoffs though. And the team that beat the Chiefs last year, like that was a big win, but this is like, they're like, now people are like, oh, this, like, maybe they're good. This is the first time they've been like, oh, maybe they're good. I don't
think anyone still is saying, oh, maybe the Raiders are good.
I know one person who is.
But I've been telling you this since the preseason. And normally I would 100% agree with you. Like, oh, this is a perfect letdown spot for the Raiders because they just won a big game. Yeah. They're at the podium celebrating.
I think they're still at the win right now, drinking champagne.
This team is this is the first time I've seen this with the Raiders in 20 years. Like, yeah, this team is legit, and they know they belong. And with the leadership of Crosby and Devontae Adams, these veteran guys, they're not going to get complacent and have a letdown here. And especially with Antonio Pierce, like, very good motivation. Keep the team focused. This is not a letdown spot. It's like every other classic Raider spot would be a letdown. But
so let's think about this. So the line opened at 6, right?
Like 5.5.
No, before the Bryce Young bench. It was open at 5. Open. Like
6.5.
Okay, so it opened at 6.5. The Bryce Young news came out. The market loved Dalton, and it got bet down all the way to 5, and that's the line
Yeah,
that
it
we
was
have
7. Yeah.
that's the line we have it at the contest. And now something happened, and the market went, whoa, 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 we overreacted, and we're back on the Raiders. So I agree. I think we should absolutely play the Raiders this week. Raiders -5. So I had like a whole bunch of stuff to argue about that pick, but the market just completely shut me up. Like the market just told us, hey, never mind, we overreacted. Like the Panthers actually fucking suck. So that's what it is. Okay.
I have a couple that I know you're not going to like, but I think I need to check the contest line. I think it's 2, right? Titans.
Yeah, Titans. You're not playing the Packers.
No, I'm playing Titans.
Yeah, no, that's my.
Yeah, it's 2.
That's
yeah.
my sec. That's
I've
my
already,
number. We complete agreement. We love the Titans in this house, dude. This is my number 2 also.
This is just one. I think I really believe in the Titans defense being really, really good. And one thing that I went back and I looked at from week 1. So obviously, how did the Packers? Why did they look so good last week? They just ran the ball against a Colts.
Yeah, how were the Colts? Had they not know that they were just going to run the ball every play? It's like, what are you guys doing?
I mean, they had to know, and they still couldn't stop it. But I went and looked at week 1, and because Josh Jacobs just had a huge week, right?
Yeah,
he had a huge game. He went off. I went back and I looked at week 1 at every running back that had a really high workload and just a really good game. It was Saquon Barkley, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Isaiah Pacheco, Kenneth Walker. All of those guys had a worse week in week 2, a much worse week after having a big workload. And Joe Mixon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Kenneth Walker all got hurt. So after having this huge workload and a great game, they just have a significantly worse game the following week. The only 2 guys who had good games week 1 and week 2 were Jordan Mason and James Cook, who are both like young and fresh legs.
Yeah.
And don't have a huge workload for their career.
Yeah.
So I just got to thinking, I was like, man, Josh Jacobs just had a huge game. What are the odds he just has another big game? He's older. I think a big part of it also is when you have a running back who just has a monster week, that's what your opponent's going to focus on, like stopping that guy. So I think the Titans are going to really stack the box. They're not going to let Josh Jacobs beat them like the Colts did. And the one thing I'm worried about is Jordan Love's been practicing.
No, Jordan Love's not playing. He's not playing.
We have to wait till Saturday at the very last minute to make sure before we submit this that he's not playing.
Jordan Love is 100% not playing.
That's not true. He's not 100% not playing. He might play.
I'm breaking the news.
No, he's been practicing, and so yeah, that's as long as Jordan Love doesn't play. I've already bet the Titans, and now I'm a little bit worried seeing that he is practicing.
This is a smoke screen. He's stretched. Bro, I'm telling you, this is a complete smokescreen. They already won their game.
Of course, we hope that. But
right. Well, we'll just go through this quick because we agree so much.
Yeah, Titans are my second favorite play of the week.
Mine too. So the Colts opened -3 in Green Bay last week. Remember, or -3.5, something like that.
Yeah,
I think the Titans are better than the Colts. So
definitely,
if the Colts are -3.5 in Green Bay, why are the Titans -2 in Tennessee? It's crazy, like really crazy value. So the other thing is they've had the 2 worst like faulty covers. In the stats matchup against the Jets, it said they should have lost that game. They should have covered that game. They should have won the game outright. Historic blown game against the Bears. My only thing with the Titans that is something to watch, and we're going to find out this week. This is like, no matter what, the last week that I'm playing the Titans if they don't cover, because you saw what happened, right? The when Levis made the next fumble in week 2, the really bad play, the coach like screamed, like completely sold him out, and then he did it again in the press conference afterwards. And then the coach also after week 1 came out and said, "Hey, we should have just punted on first down." And it's like, well, yeah,
he
that's
doesn't like
great.
Will Levis.
Yeah, but it's like, that's great, dude. Yeah, punt, except for that you guys can't fucking stop getting punts blocked either. So there's definitely, I'm not sure. They either bounce back right here, and we've been right about them, and they've had the 2 worst non-covers in football so far, or like he's a mess and Levis, and they're like gonna fall apart. But I think there's just too much value when you compare last week's line of the Colts and this week's line. I think this defense is going to be very ready to stop them. You also have to remember they just traded Malik Willis for a 7th round pick. So they do not want to lose to Malik Willis like in Tennessee with their quarterback.
Good point.
Yeah, they really don't want. My next favorite pick is the Giants plus 6.5. The Giants are the first team in the history of the National Football League to lose a game in which they scored 3 touchdowns and the other team scored 0. There was one other instance where it happened, but it did not happen in regulation. It happened in overtime. So I think that's another like historically faulty cover for Washington. So the Giants should have covered last week. The Browns are the second team in the wild card era to ever have 13 penalties and 2 or less first downs on third down and win a football game. So the Jaguars had a historically bad beat to not cover it or to not win the game. The Browns should not have won that game based on like every metric, stats, yards, yard per play, EPA, like all that stuff. They should have lost. So the other thing is, I know this got blown apart last night, but 6-point dogs. So we can update. 6-point dogs coming into Sunday are 8-1 against the spread, and they're covering by 11 points a game. So the 11 points a game, it was 8-0 before the Jets last night. I think 6.5 is an insane number to lay if you're like, what are the Browns good at?
I mean, they have a good pass rush. And that's exactly what, well, I mean, I don't know. Having Daniel Jones back there.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is a little scary, but dude, the Browns can't score. Like, they're not going to cover 6.5. This line is still 6.5 minus 20. I'm shocked that this has not been pounded yet. I actually will say I'd be shocked if this line closes at 6.5. I think this will get that down to 5.5. But that's my next favorite play. It's tough to play the Giants. Like, they managed to not cover last week. But this is a close your eyes and play the Giants plus 6.5.
Okay. I don't have much on that game. I don't agree. I don't disagree. The number seems about right to me. Like maybe it should be 6, maybe it should be 7. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't spent a lot of time on that game.
You hate the Giants.
I hate the Giants. I hate the Browns too.
The Giants have a really good pass rush. So here's the other thing about this game. I really think there's some really good stats. I have them somewhere else, but I'm not gonna look them up right now. But there's some really good stats. Dayball coming off a loss, he's really good at covering spreads. People in the league think Dayball's a really good coach, and I really think that if they get blown out by the Browns, everybody's getting fired. Like this is. I just think you have an 0-2 team against a 1-1 team I don't think the Browns are much better. Like they both have good pass rushes, they both have terrible quarterbacks, and I think they both have pretty good coaches. People can consider both of them good coaches. So I don't think you have to worry about motivation, and I think it's too many points, but I understand not wanting to play the Giants.
Yeah. Like the Giants plus 6.5, the Broncos plus 6.5.
Please, can we bet against can we please get bet against the Browns? Like, please.
Yeah, I think we should take the Giants.
Yeah, my boy.
It's such an ugly game.
My boy Daniel Jones. Yeah, dude, it's the ultimate close your eyes and Daniel Jones. Don't throw a pick six, Daniel Jones. Don't throw a pick six, Daniel Jones. Don't throw a pick six, Daniel Jones.
He's so bad, though.
But dude, here's the thing. Watson's just as bad. Like, he's just as bad. Like, there's nothing about the last 3 seasons that says Watson's a better football player than Daniel Jones. And guess what? He also costs way more money. So, in theory, the Giants should have a more talented roster, too.
Dude, the rest of the team, in theory, also should completely be out on Deshaun and just not want to be his teammate.
Yes.
The vibes have to be so bad. All right, Daniel Jones last week, QBR, 100, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack.
Yeah. I also, dude.
Hey, what's the deal with Graham Gano?
Oh, that's a...
Is there a punter kicking their extra points again?
Graham Gano with one of Chris Berman's best they signed a new kicker. Good. Frank Joseph. One of Chris Berman's greatest nicknames. Oh, that's Graham Gano good.
Yeah, he is no good.
Graham Gano defends Brian Daboll's handling of kicker situation. Gano insists he was good to kick last week and that the hamstring injury was unexpected and unrelated to his groin issue. Hey, things are looking up for the Gigantes. I told you, dude.
He's like, yeah, I did have a groin issue, though.
He's like, yeah.
But the hamstring had nothing to do with it.
He's like, hey, I could barely walk because of the groin, but I promise.
But it was my left groin, not my right hamstring. Yeah, dude, they're a mess, but hopefully they can lose by 6.
Hey, my favorite bet for this week, it's going to surprise you a little bit.
There's only one game I think that would really surprise me if you take it.
Browns minus 6.5.
No.
Okay. So, actually the Giants plus 6.5 is on my list. So, Texans minus 2 in Minnesota. So the DVOA stats, the DVOA for this season is just incorporating the first 2 weeks. DVOA is defense adjusted value over average. So it just calculates how much success a team is having based on down and distance of each play. So it's a pretty good indicator of like who's playing really well. So the top 7 teams by DVOA so far this season are Saints, Seahawks, Chargers, Vikings, Texans, Bills, Cardinals. Okay? So I have a top 5 team in the Texans who are 0-2 against the spread so far this year. And both games were fake covers. They beat the Colts in like every statistical category by a whole lot. And Anthony Richardson made like 3 of the craziest plays we've ever seen in NFL history that all landed and then all worked. And then they also completely backdoor covered. Like they literally covered that game in like on a garbage touchdown at the end of the game. So this is my like the Vikings have been getting so much love all week for beating the 49ers. I think it's a good letdown spot for them. But it's really just a value play. Like, okay, the Texans are minus 2 in Minnesota. What were the Niners last week? The Niners were minus 6.5. The Niners
-5 is got bet down to like 4.5.
Yeah, but the line was 6.5. Like that was they set the line at Niners minus 6.5. So we're saying that because the Vikings beat the Niners in week 2, that means that the Niners are 4.5 points better than the Texans? No way. I think the Texans might just be better than the Niners right now.
I mean,
especially with all those guys out.
The Niners line closed at 4.5. This one's at 2. So
right.
It's a 2.5 point difference.
So
I think the Niners are favored by at least 2.5 against the Texans on the neutral.
Well, then, but that's part of that's part of my argument too. Is I think that the Texans right now are a better team than the 49ers with all the injuries. And then
the Niners had everybody last week except McCaffrey.
Here's the main point. Well, right, but that doesn't change the fact that you just told me that the Niners would be favored against the Texans right now. If the Niners and Texans played today, they would not be favored on a neutral field. Everybody's injured.
Well, when that line was out, everybody was healthy. It was a 4.5.
Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. So here's the reason I really like it. If the reason that did you see the Purdy post game thing where he went up to Flores and was like, dude, like you've completely fucked me with that scheme. So what do you think would be what would the line be? Let's say the Niners were healthy and they just lost to Minnesota and they just played that same game and they're going to play again in Minnesota this week. Everything is exactly the same. They lost. Now they're playing again for the second time, and they just got to see the entire scheme, and they get to prepare for a week knowing what Flores just did.
I don't think it would be much different.
Right. So 4.5. Right. And so we're getting 2, and with a team
like maybe 3. Okay, so what I'm saying is we're getting the Texans, who I think are better than the 49ers. Stroud's definitely better than Purdy. And you have their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive coordinator, is a Shanahan guy. And I just think what's the best way to prepare to play Minnesota? You just got all the best possible game film from last week. They're going to try and do the exact, maybe they come up with something new and amazing, but what are the chances they have back-to-back unbelievable schemes that you're not going to be able to prepare for? Well, I wouldn't say it's been just back to back. The Vikings have been really good. They dominated every single preseason game. They've dominated week 1. They dominated week 2. So to me, this is a game that I kind of don't want to bet either side. But I know this line's the Vikings have been getting bet. The line's moving down. The Vikings were getting 3, 2.5. Now it's 2.
Well, I just saw I'm playing the 2 from the contest, and it is 2.5 now on FanDuel.
Okay.
I think when you take into account that, my personal opinion, Texans are better than the Niners, and I think that if the Niners played the Vikings again next week after just getting beat, the market would have to be at 4.5 or 5 because people would be like, "Oh, the Niners aren't going to lose 2 times in a row."
So you think the Texans are better than a healthy Niners or a depleted Niners?
Better than the Niners without McCaffrey.
Okay, healthy with Jordan Mason. Everyone else healthy.
Yeah. I just think Stroud is so much better than Purdy, so much better.
Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know.
And
I feel preseason, the Niners are the best team in football. Week 1, the Niners are still the best team in football. They're better than the Chiefs. All that.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Texans
are
I'm not saying they're just way better. I'm just saying right now, after watching 2 weeks of football, I like the Texans as much as I like the Niners, slightly more. I'm talking about a quarter of a point better or whatever. But the most of it is just the Vikings are 2-0 and they're 2-0 against the spread. The Texans are 2-0 and they're 0-2 against the spread, and both were super faulty covers. So
I don't know. They almost lost both the games. Their defense just isn't. I don't know. They've made a lot of mistakes. Joe Mixon or Cam Akers fumbling in the red zone on the goal line. That's kind of fluky, but it's also just really bad to fumble right there.
Yeah.
They gave up some huge plays to Anthony Richardson, who I think sucks. I don't think he's very good. Right. I think the Colts are actually kind of a disaster and as we go forward. So I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm more confident that the Vikings defense is really, really good and they're going to pound the ball. And if the Texans defense is allowing some big plays, then Darnold will probably make some big plays. He was able to make some big plays against the Niners, whose defense is definitely
they didn't
better
allow
than the
they didn't allow any plays against the Bears, but I think that's more about the Bears than anything. So I think it'll probably be it'll be an illuminating game. I'd be really surprised if the Vikings beat the Texans. I'll be really surprised.
Well, you were really big. You wanted to put the Vikings in last week against the Niners. That was one of your favorite plays.
Yeah.
And so I don't how what have you changed? What's changed so much? Because now they're at home again, and they just whooped the Niners. They just played a really
Well,
really good
last
game.
week they were getting 6, and this week they're getting 2. So I think the team
Like
that
they're
playing,
getting 5 in the contest, which
yeah,
is
but
a
I mean,
pretty
still, it's 3. I mean, dude, that's 3 points, and I think the
Mhm.
Texans are as good as the Niners. So I just think there's a lot of value. But let's keep
Okay.
moving. We've done this. We did a lot on that one.
Yeah, that's a tough
Uh,
one.
what's your next one?
Uh, I like the Baltimore Ravens. Um, I think this is a great spot for them. I think it's like a back against the wall, must win game. This is the type of game where Lamar goes crazy. And he has to against the Cowboys defense. Um, I kind of handicapped last week. He had taken a bunch of shots against the Chiefs and like going
Yeah,
all out trying to win
this
that
was really
game.
sharp. This was really sharp.
And my take was he was not going to run much against the Raiders because it's a game they should have won in Baltimore, where through the first half, first 3 quarters, it kind of felt like the Ravens were going to win the game. And so there were a lot of plays he could have ran, and instead he didn't. He would dunk it off, throw it out of bounds, or just look downfield and take a shot. And instead of running for a first down and taking a shot, this is the type of total opposite game. This is a must-win game, and he's going to go all out. He's going to probably run for 100 yards. And I trust Harbaugh much more than McCarthy. I trust Lamar much more than Dak. I think the Ravens defense is just as good, if not better, than the Cowboys defense. And I just think the Ravens are the better team in a spot where they have to win. And I think it just makes a lot more sense to me that the Ravens win and both teams end up 1-2 and have a shot at the playoffs still, rather than the Cowboys winning and the Ravens going to 0-3. I just think this is a spot where I'm willing to put it all on the Ravens here.
Yeah, wow. And the line has moved actually to 1. FanDuel has Ravens -1.5, -102. That's really surprising to me. So I'm on the other side of this game. I have Cowboys +1. So this is cool though. This is a fun conversation. At least we're on opposite sides. So my thing is, this line doesn't make any sense to me. If you take the Cowboys versus preseason expectations, the Ravens versus preseason expectations, like the Cowboys looked good in one game and bad in one game, and they're 1-1. The Ravens looked good in one game and really bad, like lost as a huge favorite.
Well, they looked good for 3 quarters.
Yeah. So
I would say the Ravens have looked good for 7 out of 8 quarters.
Okay. Yeah. So my issue with this is, okay, so there's some stats on that I found against a winless team that's favored against a non-winless team on the road. It's the 9th time in the history of the league. There's also some bad stats on lines that get bet through the 0. So this line opened Cowboys -1, and now it's Ravens -1.5. Usually teams that get bet through the 0, it's the other side has the value. And then I got a couple things for you. Yes, the Ravens have looked good, and I'm actually a huge Lamar fan. I love Lamar Jackson, but these are real stats. Do you know? So they have 2 categories. There's a category on one of these sites that says that's a bad throw. They categorize a throw as a bad throw, and then there's one that categorizes throws as poor throws. So like a bad throw is like if the guy's wide open and he misses the target, and then a poor throw is like he's like kind of open and he misses the target. So there are 2 quarterbacks tied with the most bad throws this season through 2 games. One is Bryce Young, the other is Lamar Jackson. The most poor passes are Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Lamar Jackson. So he's in really, really bad company through 2 weeks as a thrower of the football. Now, in your defense, that doesn't really counter your point, which is, hey, I don't care. Like when he needs to win a game, he's going to run for 200 yards, which is probably true. I don't think there's any value on the Ravens. Although if it keeps moving, I mean, if it's at 2 or 2.5 on Saturday, then maybe we will play it. But I had the Cowboys in mind, but I probably I don't think I want to play it, to be honest, because
I think the Ravens are very, very close to being 2-0 against two really good teams.
yeah.
And the Cowboys beat the Browns, who we both really don't like, and they just got the brakes beaten off by the Saints at home. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna find out about this. I think the Saints have a really interesting game this week. I think the Saints might be good. They have a similar. They remind me of kind of what the Lions looked like last year. They have a lot of really fast, talented players for Carr to throw to. I mean, dude, I know you hate Carr. I don't think Carr is. I think Carr is a better player than Jared Goff, like all around. And maybe that's a crazy take actually, but I don't think Carr is significantly worse than Goff. All right.
Okay.
My my next one is the Jaguars plus 5.5.
Love it.
Okay, cool.
This one's on mine.
Okay, cool. So the stats say that
I don't love it. It's like my sixth game.
Yeah.
I like that side.
We agree. Yeah, I think the stats say the Jags should have won both games. So you have two bogus results in Miami and against Cleveland. So it's not really my favorite bet of the week, but I think the line should be 3.5. What is it now? This is also a Sunday night. This is the Sunday night football game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also 4.5 now. So Jags plus 5.5. I think the line should be 3.5. And so the market agrees with me. It's moving closer to that number. So I really like having. I hate betting against Josh Allen, especially with the extra rest. But you get an 0-2 team that was predicted to be within a game of the 2-0 team coming into the season, and then we get two bogus results, and two bogus non-covers. Also, I think that this is a really good number. I think this game is a coin flip game, like probably 75% of the time. This game comes down to a field goal. So I hate Trevor Lawrence and I don't like Peterson either, and I love Josh Allen and I actually like yeah, I like McDermott a lot too. So this is not, like I said, not my favorite, but this is a great number. Jags plus 5.
Yeah, I like it.
My next one, I'll just do really quickly because the line actually moved away from me, so we're probably not going to end up playing it. But I like the Chiefs minus 3.5 in Atlanta, just for the simple fact that if Saquon catches the ball and runs into the end zone, and the Eagles win by 10 points, and the Falcons never have that drive at the end of the game.
I mean, like he was going out of bounds.
That's even better then. Whatever. If the Falcons don't get the ball back and Cousins doesn't put the touchdown drive together, what is there good to talk about the Falcons? They have not done one thing on offense through 2 games. So, and then normally I would say that you have a Chiefs team that's 2-0, that's 1-2 coin flips. So maybe it's a letdown spot for them. But all I've heard for 2 weeks is how, hey, the Ravens lost by a toenail. Hey, the Bengals lost by a pass interference call. Like, imagine if you're the Chiefs. You're like, dude, we just beat 2 of the best teams in the AFC. And all I've heard for both weeks is like, hey, dude, you know who's good? The Bengals and the Ravens are really good 0-2 teams because they almost beat the Chiefs. I think it's a really good spot to play the Chiefs again. Because they're still locked in and they still have a bunch of motivation because all of the media has been saying basically that losing to the Chiefs in a close game makes you hella good, and that they didn't deserve to win, basically. And then the other point is like the Falcons put no pressure on Jalen Hurts, like none. It was actually I was just listening to there's a podcast that Belichick is doing with Matt Patricia and Lombardi, the Lombardi guy, and they were just saying they were agreeing with you about Jalen Hurts that if you notice in that game, he had all the time in the world, and when he didn't have his first look, he just would scramble right. And Mahomes is not going to do that. If those guys can't get pressure on Mahomes, the Chiefs are going to go chunk play, chunk play, chunk play, chunk play. So I think the Chiefs are going to blow the doors off of the Falcons, and I would play them -3.5. The line moved against us, so it's 3 now, -20 on FanDuel. So we're obviously not going to play it in the contest. But I really like the Chiefs.
Yeah. Interesting, because I see I see the Chiefs O-line is not very good right now. It might get better, but they're kind of a disaster. Kelsey's been awful. Kelsey just doesn't look good. Mahomes hasn't been good. He's thrown a bunch of picks. I think Pacheco going down is a huge deal for their offense, because now if Kelsey isn't effective, you're relying on a rookie wide receiver, and you only have Rice. And then if the strength of the Falcons is their secondary, it could be an interesting spot. And 3.
Yeah, like maybe they get a bunch of turnovers.
3.5 in the contest is a lot. That can be a 10-point game. They can be up 10 just like they were, and Cousins can go down and score a touchdown at the end. But the other thing on the flip side is how do the Chiefs always just have this added motivation? Like Mahomes just always has. Now they're saying, oh yeah, they can't. Like the line is getting bet down. Everyone's betting the Falcons.
Yeah,
the line's down to 3. It's like, oh yeah, Kelsey's terrible now. Okay. Now Kelsey has more motivation.
It's crazy.
Now, Mahomes can't win this game without Pacheco. So it's just it's a game where, like,
I mean, there's no way you'd play the Falcons.
I would play the Falcons at 3.5, but I wouldn't because of all of this noise. Like, if there was nobody talking about how the Chiefs look terrible this year so far, despite being 2-0, and the Falcons all of a sudden look good.
They ran the table in the playoffs, won the Super Bowl, and now they've beat considered 2 of the 5 best teams in the AFC to start the season, and everyone's like, yeah, they're not very good.
Yeah, I know. Pretty wild. But they haven't looked very good, is the truth. Like, I haven't watched the Chiefs game.
Totally. I mean, dude, we did. You and I recorded a conversation 3 days ago where I was saying I'm like downgrading them based off of wins, and now I'm like, wait. I think when you get them in a motivation. The Falcons haven't. Anyway, let's keep moving since we're not going to play it.
My next game, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
I think I like this number in the contest at +3. I like this team to make the playoffs, and I like everything about this game being in Arizona outdoors. We have plenty of Jared Goff stats. We've seen how much better he is in the dome. And I think this Arizona offense is going to score enough points I think they could win this game for sure. I think the wide receiver 1 combo is one of the best in the entire league. James Conner, Trey McBride with Marvin Jr. Kyler Murray looks really healthy. He looks really good. I just like this Arizona team a lot. The only question mark is going to be the defense. I think it's better. Like, they looked really good against the Rams, although they were pretty depleted. But to start that game, Puka Nacua was the only guy out, and Kupp got hurt throughout in the first half, second quarter, I believe. But the game was pretty much out of hand already. They scored 2 touchdowns immediately, and they stopped the Rams every time. I really like this team. I think they have something going on. I think they're a legit playoff team, and I like the home dog getting 3 points in the contest.
Yeah, I think if you look at what we've seen so far, you saw the Rams go into Detroit and play them really tough, and then the Cardinals just beat the brakes off the Rams. And then you saw the Buccaneers go in and beat the Lions, and then then the Cardinals played a really tough, close game against the Bills, covered against the Bills.
Yep.
And so if you just compare those two, the 4 games, cumulative 4 games, Arizona should be favored at home. The other thing, the Lions have struggled with running quarterbacks in the past. They lost to Fields. They lost to the Bears last year. Fields ran all over them. They got blown out by the Ravens last year. Also, I kind of have a vested, like, I kind of want the Lions to regress. I never thought they were that good last year, and they kept winning. Like, so coming in this year, and then everybody's picking them to win the Super Bowl this year, and I was like, all right, I guess they're going to be just really good. And then they magically cover against the Rams, and then we'll see. This could be a get back on track game for them, where they like actually run the ball, but throwing the ball 55 times against the Bucks and Goff now going on the road. I like the Cardinals here.
I like this one for the fact also that coming into the season, we thought Arizona might be a good team. We just weren't sure yet. And we also kind of
like
the Lions were we thought they were gonna be a good team, but maybe not make the playoffs because the division was so tough. Now the division's kind of falling apart, and it looks like they have a good path to maybe.
I picked them to finish. I picked them to finish third in the division. I thought that these 4 teams all had a shot at making the playoffs. Yeah.
And we also thought the Lions would regress a little bit from how hyped last year was and how all in everybody was and just how perfect everything went for them.
Right.
So I think, like, what better spot is this game for our preseason predictions? Nothing has changed. If anything, we've been validated. The Cardinals are good. The Lions may be regressing a little bit, losing that game at home. And we kind of just thought, the Lions get like 14 games at home this year. They're going to be really good in all the home games. But when they go on the road, they're probably going to struggle like they always do. So this is kind of like a perfect blend to also get the 3 points. It's like a good home dog line. So I like this one.
I really didn't like what I saw last week. I mean, dude, Baker Mayfield ran all over them. Like he's like I mean, dude, you think Baker's little legs were getting for like Kyler's gonna be all over the place. So I think you have the edge, talent, home field, and the coaching edge right now. I don't know what Campbell was doing last week. They threw the ball 55 times and they boofed a field goal try at the end of the first half. So I don't know what he's doing.
I have to go 5-0 this week. I just feel like this is a 5-0 week. So I really want to get these right. And I want to get ones that we going into Sunday, we're both like, I like this. Are we in on the Raiders with the line move?
Yes.
No, it's 6.5. Okay, so we got Raiders -5. Titans?
Yeah, Titans and Jaguars. So and then my last play that I skipped because I scrolled down to the Cowboys was the Colts -1.5. I think
I actually like the Bears.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm out on Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Big time.
Hey, we'll just do this really quick because I think it's worth talking about. I am out on Caleb Williams for at least for this season. Like we can have more conversations maybe next summer, but he's fucking terrible. Like he's so bad right now. I want to reevaluate the Bryce Young trade. Like maybe they didn't get the worst player. Like, dude, he fucking sucks. They're averaging they're averaging 2.9 yards per play. It's the lowest number through 2 weeks of any team in the NFL since the Raiders in 2006.
You know what I didn't like was when CJ Stroud was trying to talk him up a little bit, and he
big leagued him. Like, what are you doing, dude?
I couldn't believe that.
He like rolled his eyes at him. It's like, hey, dude, you suck. They've had two completely fake covers and one completely fake win. I'm serious. I mean, I probably wouldn't throw DJ Moore in too, but I might trade him for Bryce Young straight up right now. Just kidding.
That'd be hilarious if they swapped it. Hey, we're gonna keep DJ Moore though, but we'll swap.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and keep DJ Moore and Sweat, the guys that we drafted, and and Rome Odunze.
Well,
Also,
still,
did you
yeah.
see Rome Odunze's dad just posted like
Yes.
7 minutes of clips of Rome Odunze being wide open on Twitter? Dude, what do you mean you like the Bears this week? That's crazy.
Well,
So,
I think Anthony Richardson is making some of the worst throws that we've seen in a long time on film.
yeah,
he's missing high school level throws. He's really bad. It's crazy how coming into this year, we really were high on a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, and so far
they all suck.
They all stink. Drake
suck,
May came in the game yesterday. He stinks.
Yeah, they're keeping him on ice for a reason. Hey, so I'm still high on the
JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix are probably going to be the two best. The ones who aren't playing. They're going to get an extra year to like figure shit out.
I still think that there's hope for all these guys. It's very normal to be bad through 2 weeks. Dude, I'm not interested in Caleb Williams until he could still be good. Dude, they told me that he was Mahomes, like an athlete, like, you know what I mean? Like he did stuff that looked like Mahomes in preseason against guys that are not professional football players, and it at USC against guys that are not professional football players. And now he's playing against professional football players, and he looks like, dude, I don't know. He looks kind of like Derek Carr as a rookie. Like, you know, like he's not Mahomes. So I'm lowering my ceiling for him. Like now, I'm ready to just lower it. Like he still might be a quality like starting quarterback later on in the league. He's never going to be the best player in the league. I've seen enough. I promise you. And I didn't like that he big leagued CJ either. Like CJ is like,
dude,
he basically was like, everything that you have is in. He basically was like, hey, dude, like keep up the good work. It's not like he was like, hey, young fella, come sit on my knee or anything. Like it's fucking insane. It was insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so tentative Circa. We should wait until final line moves, but we go Giants, Titans, Raiders, Jaguars,